A revolution is not won by the fearless.
It's won by the feared.
Welcome to Libertad, Danny.
Greetings, Far Cry fans. It is I, Eurogamer's Ian Higton, and I've just got back from an epic Easter egg hunt in Yara, the beautifully violent setting for Far Cry 6. In the following video, I'll be showing off the 27 Easter eggs that I found during my first playthrough of the game. So if in-jokes, movie references and video game secrets are your bag, there'll be plenty in here to keep you entertained. Be warned though, some of these eggs are a little on the spoilerific side, so if you've only just started playing the game, you might want to proceed with caution. Especially when it comes to the last two, which feature some endgame content that you may want to experience for yourself.
And we eat the fucking lambs.
Let's kick this video off with a bang by heading to Tranquilla Beach, which can be found on the tip of the Cortina Peninsula in the Costa del Mar region. Once you get there, you'll find an old, run-down holiday resort to explore, but ignore that for now because... oh, smells like someone's having a barbecue, and oh my word, do I love a good barbecue.
Hey there.
Oh, hey there. That's a nice big leg of lamb you're roasting there, but still looks kinda raw. Fancy turning up the heat a bit? Wait a minute. Ma'am, that's not quite what I meant. Honestly, ma'am, that doesn't look safe. I think I ought to take a step back before... Holy hamburgers! When I asked for my meat to be well done, I really didn't mean like that. Crikey. Does anyone have any ketchup, though?
Looks like I need to get to that cave.
In my opinion, some of the most fun and imaginative adventures in Far Cry 6 can be found in the game's treasure hunt side missions. There's loads of variety to them, but one of the most epic is called the Emerald Skull. This mission is found on a rooftop in the town of Concepcion, and it promises conquistadors, curses, and mysterious lost treasures. But don't let the name of the quest fool you. This mission may sound like something out of an Indiana Jones movie that definitely wasn't made and totally doesn't exist, but it isn't. It's actually a nod towards another famous fictional treasure hunter. In the Emerald Skull, you need to navigate through a series of trap-filled caves as you follow in the footsteps of a certain Dr. Halfmain, who, if you didn't already guess, is based on Allan Quatermain, the protagonist of H. Rider Haggard's 1885 novel King Solomon's Mines. Allan has been the main character in many films, including this one here called
Allan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold.
But Allan Quatermain was even played by legendary actor Sean Connery in another film that definitely doesn't exist called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Here's another film reference for you, and although it might seem a bit far-fetched, I think you should stick with it. At each one of the main guerrilla bases, you'll be able to chat to an NPC called Lola, who'll be able to transport you to special self-contained maps called Special Operations. At the time of making this video, only 2 of those special operations were available to play, but the one I want to concentrate on here is called Mesozoico, which is set in a dilapidated dinosaur-themed park. This map is bursting with dino delights, and it is of course inspired by the movie Jurassic Park. Don't believe me? Click the button on this information sign at the entrance to the park and you'll hear a Mesozoic spin on John Hammond's famous Jurassic introduction.
Welcome to Mesozoic Park.
Dinosaurs. Far Cry 6 gives you a huge amount of choice when it comes to customization. Sometimes that customization has benefits, like when you change Danny's outfit just before a battle in order to gain some specific perks. But other times, like in the case of the skins for the guns here, that customization is just there to make stuff look cool. Every gun in the game has a bunch of different skins that you can unlock using spray cans, but one of my favourite skins is for the Desert Eagle here. This skin is called Wood Panel. It costs 3 spray cans to unlock, and it's a direct reference to the vintage Atari 2600 video game console that came out in the late 1970s. Just like the gun here, the Atari 2600 featured wood panelling, but that's not where the similarities end. The word power by the barrel of the gun and the words TV type found just above the safety switch can both be found written on the 2600. And the barrel of the Desert Eagle now has a similar ridged design to the top of the Atari console. Assassin's Creed Easter eggs in Far Cry games have been happening since Abstergo boxes popped up in Far Cry 3, so it should come as no surprise that I found a fair few nods to the series stashed away in Far Cry 6. But it's not just Assassin's Creed that gets referenced, as you'll discover if you head to this location in Pinot Crest in the north of Costa del Mar. Once there, you'll find a series of underground bunkers, but the one you're looking for this egg is the long tunnel-shaped one that cuts through the middle of the area. Tucked away on a shelf inside that bunker is this crumpled note, which reads, "Throw this away once you're done." It then goes on to list some contraband that's been moved down inside the bunker, and on that list you can see there's a golden apple artifact, and also a crate marked Electrum. Now, according to Norse mythology, golden apples were fruit that ensured the gods' vigour and immortality. But more importantly to this Easter egg, in Assassin's Creed, these golden apples were actually hinted to have been apples of Eden, the sphere-shaped pieces of Isu technology that feature prominently in the series. But that's not the only nod hidden in the note, because that crate of Electrum is actually a currency from Ubisoft's spacefaring flop, Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Upgrade them and you'll get more and more Electrum in your regular deliveries.
But wait, there's more references to both games and more in this next Easter egg, which can be found inside a bunker in the Oasis Plains airfield in Aguas Lindas. These Easter eggs form part of the treasure hunt called Cash Money, so you'll need to work out how to get inside the bunker before you can find the secrets within. Now, there's a fair few things to find in here amongst all the books and documents, but keep your eyes open for this note lying on the desk, which lists a few things that fans of Ubisoft games may recognise. For a start, there's the ancient spear, once broken, repaired multiple times. This is a reference to the Spear of Leonidas, Cassandra's weapon in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Next up, there's a knife of Chinese origin that features silver dragon iconography. This is undoubtedly a reference to the silver dragon knife from Far Cry 3, which Jason Brody used to stab Vas during their confrontation in his warehouse. The urn is next, but I'm not really sure about that one, so I'll skip over to the pair of ancient concealed blades, which are, of course, the assassin's weapon of choice in the Assassin's Creed games. This bunker's not finished giving up its secrets yet though, because if you head to the back of the room, you'll find a snazzy little spaceship model sitting on a shelf alongside a note written by a private De Silva. There's no need to guess what game this spaceship is from though, because the note straight up says it's from Starlink Battle for Atlas. Although more specifically, this is actually the model from the Starlink starter set, which used to retail for £40, but can now be found in bargain bins for less than a £5. Ouch. Normally, you'll need to play all the way through the main campaign of a Far Cry game in order to check out the names of the people involved in making it. But you can get a head start on that by heading to the Maria Marquesa Productions building in Balaceras. Enter this pink trailer and, sat upon a desktop next to a bunch of flowers in a vase, you'll find this note from Maria, which lists the names of foreign journalists who've snubbed her press junket. If you Google any of these names, plus the word Ubisoft, you'll soon discover that pretty much everyone here on this list is a producer or a tester who currently works for Ubisoft Toronto. We've got more text-based shout-outs in this next Easter egg, but rather than being cheeky signatures of members of the development team this time, I think the people listed here are actually members of the development team's families, or some of the teams at least. You can find these information boards throughout Yara, but the one I'm looking at here can be found in the swamps of the Ciénaga Nublada National Park in Balaceras. Amongst the many Yara patriots listed here are what seems to be a family of Cummings, who I'm presuming are related to Far Cry 6's scriptwriter Justin Cummings. And then there's a Naeem Khavari, who shares the same last name as Far Cry 6's narrative director and lead writer Navid Khavari, so it's probably safe to assume that every person on here is in some way related to the game's writing staff. Okay, this next one is bananas. It's one I stumbled upon randomly, and I'm not sure if it ties in with a mission I've not found yet, or if it's just an in-joke amongst the developers, or what, but it's such a bizarre story, I feel like I need to tell you all about it. So here's how it started. There I was, attempting to take over the GDP oil platform in Aguas Lindas, when I stumbled across this weird banana-scented note. In the note, a Captain Martinez talks about a banana thief who's been stealing boomerangs of joy from FND locations, including the weather station, Minister Marques's TV studio, and the sugar mill. Now, I kind of thought nothing of it, and I just ignored it. Until that is, I climbed up a smaller platform near the oil rig and was confronted by this: a box of bananas and a picture of a very adorable doggy. Did that dog steal the bananas? Or did whoever stole the bananas just love dogs? I didn't have a clue, until that is a lot later on when I liberated the weather station and found this underground bunker busting with bananas hidden below the station. And you know what else was in there? Another picture of that dog. Does this strange canine have an unnatural love for bananas? Is that dog some kind of banana-hoarding psychopath? Well, from there I went to check out the TV studio, and just outside of its perimeter I found this little blue shack, and inside another box of bananas, although this time there was no photo of the dog. As for the sugar mill, well, of course I went to check that out too, and after a lengthy search, I scaled this massive erection, and what did I find perched daintily on the tip? Well, yet another box of nanas, and another one of those canine calling cards, of course. I'd love to find out the story behind this little secret, because at the moment, the idea of a banana-stealing dog that can climb towers and open bunkers seems to me to be a little bit barking mad. Here's a quick throwaway joke that references the classic Far Cry protagonist's love of fast travel.
You at the zoo yet?
No? What am I supposed to do? Teleport or something?
Coño, sensitive, aren't you?
Only to shit that annoys me. Go! Get away from here!
Right, what follows are a collection of Easter eggs that reference past Far Cry games, starting with this early tribute to one of Far Cry 3's most famous missions, where Jason Brody has to burn fields of weed. In Far Cry 6, Danny has to burn Vivero, which is more likely to make you die than get high, but after the mission is complete, she utters this cheeky line of dialogue to confirm the similarities.
Burning shit with a flamethrower. Felt familiar.
I'm a big fan of Far Cry 6's trophies, as a lot of them are excellent puns. I'm looking at you, Car Cry Trophy. But the best of the bunch has to be this reference to Far Cry 3's leading man, Jason Brody. To earn this trophy, titled Jawsome Brody, all you need to do is kill a shark with an explosion, which is something I haven't done yet. Huh. Okay, well, there's no time like the present, I guess, to sort that one out, so let's give it a go. Ah, there we go, all better. On to Far Cry 4 now, with a little look at the game's big bad, Pagan Min, sat on the cover of a magazine that's all about chocolate. You can find these nom-tastic magazines lying all over Yara, so it shouldn't take you long to spot one. Listen very carefully the first time you meet Juan at the El Bar in Isla Santuario, and you'll hear him mention Kirat, the mountainous setting for Far Cry 4.
Today we drink in the worst fucking cantina in Yara. Or is it Colombia? Kirat, Chechnya.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to all my pre-release Far Cry 6 videos, but if you have, I told you in one of those that Hurk, everyone's favourite idiot, apart from me of course, would not be making an appearance in Far Cry 6. But I was wrong. Kind of. Okay, so we don't actually get to see Hurk or hear him, but there is actually mention of him in a note that you can find in the Yara story called Boom or Bust. Now this point is technically a double Easter egg because in that mission you have to head to a warehouse in Feroza and search for a blue shipping container. Open up the right one and out will pop a scruffy old dog that you might just recognise if you've played Far Cry 5. Because yes, that is Boomer, or Boom Boom as Danny takes to calling him.
Okay, how about Boom Boom?
Perfect.
What a good boy. But how did Boom Boom get in this crate? Well, according to a note found in the crate, a woman named Amelia was paid by Hurk to ship Boomer to Yara so that he could have a better life, which in turn would get Hurk even with the monkey god. I'm not 100% sure how that trade-off would work exactly, but either way, I'm just happy I get to give this good boy scritches again, because the last time I spoke about Boomer was in an Easter egg video I made about Far Cry New Dawn, in which I showed you how to find Boomer's grave. Dark. It's great to have you back, boy. Now, never leave me again.
One time, I wound up babysitting this SoCal douchebag who got his friends caught by slavers in the Rook Islands.
Agent Willis Huntley has been a minor recurring character in the Far Cry series since Far Cry 3, and this unlockable dog tag proves that he's also had a run-in with Far Cry 6's Juan Cortez at some point in the past. You can find this tag for yourself hidden in a box in Juan's workshop on the Zamak archipelago, and while the description for the dog tag doesn't give much away, it might be a safe assumption that Willis may have been killed whilst on a mission in Yara, and that's why Juan is now in possession of his tag. Okay, this one is probably up for interpretation a bit, but as I was wandering the coastline of Vencejo, I came across these two soldiers who were busy trying to empty these green barrels into the sea. Now, these two didn't say anything before, or unsurprisingly after I killed them, but to me, those green barrels look suspiciously like the barrels that the Seed family stored their Bliss in Far Cry 5. Coincidence? Maybe, but if that's the case, what on earth were they doing here with a collection of barrels that you don't see very often in Yara? I guess, depending on how you look at it, this egg is either a hit or a Bliss. Nice. There's a huge amount of bobbleheads to unlock in Far Cry 6, which you can then use to decorate your rides, and one of them is Blood Dragon's very own Rex Power Colt. During the course of the game, I've also unlocked a Boomer bobblehead, a bobblehead of Nox from the as-yet unreleased Ubisoft game Beyond Good and Evil 2, and of course, a Rabid bobblehead too. But if you're a fan of bobbleheads and Ubi games in general, you'll also be able to aim for bobbleheads featuring characters from Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, For Honor, Rainbow Six Siege, and even Watch Dogs. On the subject of Blood Dragon though, if you got the Blood Dragon DLC pack, you'll be able to call on the help of a special amigo, namely K9000, a badass pup with bulletproof skin. Now, although this hardcore hound is technically an Easter egg of sorts, what I actually want to draw your attention to here is the QR code that's hanging around his neck. If you can get K9000 to sit still for long enough to scan that code with your phone, and Sit Boy doesn't work, believe me, I've tried, you'll be sent to this website, which features a quote from Dolph Laserhawk, the main character in an upcoming Far Cry anime for Netflix titled Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon Remix. But that's not all. Click on the flashing press start button and you'll be taken to this puzzle, which when solved will allow you to download an exclusive piece of Captain Laserhawk artwork. That's Mark IV style, mother flipper. But wait, Far Cry 6 isn't done with quirky QR code based secrets yet, because these crates that are dotted around the Serpentino Park region of Yara are also embossed with curious code cubes. But where do they lead? Well, this one is pretty bizarre because by scanning this code, you're sent to this 6-second video that shows, well, I'm not too sure to be honest with you. Parts of it do look a bit like Far Cry 4. You can see mountains in there and the name Sky Temple, which is the name of a location in one of Far Cry 4's DLCs, so this could fit in perfectly with the Pagan Min portion of the upcoming Season Pass DLC, which forms one part of 3 roguelikes that feature famous villains from Far Cry's past, like Joseph Seed and Vas Montenegro.
Oye, Danny.
This one isn't so much of an Easter egg as it is a tease for those DLCs I just mentioned, but if you head to any of the big friendly faction bases across Yara, you'll find one of these video game consoles that shows all the big bads that you'll be playing as once the DLCs release. I actually talked about this Easter egg in a preview video when I got an early hands-on with the game, but in that video I wasn't able to interact with the console. Now, however, I certainly can, and if I click on it, not only do I get to see the names of those 3 DLCs, but up in the top right-hand corner, it also says that you can play these DLCs in co-op, even with a friend who doesn't own the game, which is nice. What's the formula for making a good video game is probably something a lot of people, but mainly video game developers, have asked themselves at some point in their lives. And now we finally have the answer, thanks to this whiteboard that lists the element FC6+ in amongst a jumble of chemical equations. What those other equations mean is anyone's guess, especially the one that says Fu2. But I've heard that if you add FC6+ to a couple of pints of H2O, you'll end up needing Juan Big Wee Wee.
Fuck you, Bambi. Fuck you.
I'm good. I need to capture that truck.
This next Easter egg concerns a very disturbing mission found in Madrugada, where you're tasked with liberating the F.I. Escudo steel plant. Now, that task isn't disturbing in itself, but what you find inside is. It turns out a sick so-called artist named Lacoste is turning Yaran outcasts into works of, finger air quotes, art by pouring molten metal on them whilst they're still alive, resulting in these twisted effigies. The thought of someone doing that to another human being is stomach-churning enough, but it gets even worse when you spot these packaging crates and realise that Lacoste is actually selling these poor souls and profiting from their misery. But what person in their right mind would buy something like this, and in such great numbers? Well, take a ride around the Noven Tarmus region and you'll get your answer. All those poor Yaran outcasts have been snapped up by Maria Marquesa in order to decorate the areas below Esperanza that have been gentrified as part of Anton's push to rebuild Paradise. Paradise, huh? This looks more like hell to me. Right, listen, you're going to hate me for this one, but in Far Cry 6, there's a lot of crabs running around, and if you run around on those crabs, well, they turn into crab paste. I did it once by accident, but then I obviously had to test it out multiple times afterwards, just, to make sure it wasn't a bug or something, and I think those splats there prove that it wasn't. Oh, and if you thought that was bad, I better give you a heads up about these chicks here. These chicks are new to Far Cry and they are very small and very cute. And don't ask me how I know this because I'm taking it to my grave with me, but they maybe also might just react similarly to the crabs if you were to run over them. But I totally don't know how I know about that. Honest. Here's one final Easter egg for you that revolves around dead animals, but this one I had nothing to do with, I promise. And in fact, it's a bit of a weird one and I'm struggling to work out what it means, or even if it's supposed to be where it is at all. What do I mean by that? Well, you see this body here lying on the beach next to this shovel? Not very Easter eggy, I'm sure you're thinking. And you'd be right, because I thought that too and ran off to get my car. But then, when I got into my car, something weird happened to that body because somehow it changed into something else entirely. And that something was this. A bizarre fish flamingo circle around an old barrel of PG-240. Why this happened and what it means is anyone's guess, but you can go see if it happens to you too by making your way to the Ortega Croc farm area of Aguas Lindas. Here we go, Far Cry friendos. We've reached the final 2 Easter eggs of this video. Both of these concern different endings to the game, so if you don't want to see what those endings are, you've got 10 seconds from now to turn off this video and go look at something else on the internet. But don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, Bobs.
Proof of death. Join your friend Lita in a suite hereafter.
I keep my promises, Danny. You wanted a
Okay, time's up. Here we go. Remember how in previous Far Cry games you could complete the games early? Well, this is possible in Far Cry 6 as well, although to be able to do this, you'll first need to escape Isla Santuario, the game's tutorial island. Once you've done that, Clara will offer you a choice. Fight for Libertad or sod off in a boat that's lovingly named the Floating Turd. So, if you want to skip all the fighting and go straight to getting a suntan and a trophy, just climb on board the boat and set sail into the sunset.
Ni pinga. I bet this fucking boat will sink halfway to Miami. Discúlpame, Clara. Not my fight.
Despite the tragedy, the company promises that its secretive new resort park will soon be open to the public. In other news, war has ended in Yara. President Anton Castillo announced that Clara Garcia, the leader of the terrorist group Libertad, was killed by his special forces. And as the pandemic tightens its grip on the globe, the federal government may impose another nationwide lockdown. But first, how about something a little more upbeat?
Okay, this final Easter egg is super spoilery, and it only happens once you've completed Far Cry 6 by actually playing the game through. So, after you've watched the end credits roll by, you'll hear 2 voices speaking to one another.
Libertad thanks you for your support. And I come bearing good news. Our Ribiro supply has tripled.
You know, he's so sad about that Castillo kid. I mean, what his papa did. Wow, that is crazy.
Nah, a tragedy.
Well, you know, some people are just sick in the mind, hermano. They're out of control.
Same time next week.
Well, you can bet your life on it.
Did you get it? Do you have shivers down your spine now too? Because yes, whilst one of those people is Juan Cortez, the other, known only as the smuggler in the subtitles, is none other than Vas Montenegro, the villain from Far Cry 3 that was previously thought to have been killed by Jason Brody. Now, as we know, Far Cry 6 is set in an alternate timeline to Far Cry 5, where the nukes didn't go off. But does that mean, in this timeline, Jason never killed Vas? Perhaps Jason and Vas never even met? Does this signal a return to the series from Vas, aside from the upcoming Vas Insanity DLC, which I presumed was some kind of standalone thing? Oh my god, is this a hint that Far Cry 7 is going to be about Vas? Will he be the hero or the villain? This could honestly mean so many different things. Holy moly, this is all so very exciting. So much so that I think I might need to go for a lie down. But before I do that, I should quickly point out that that was all of the Easter eggs that I found during my first playthrough of Far Cry 6. bearing in mind that I'd only really uncovered about 50% of the game map at that point. I'm pretty sure there will be many more Easter eggs and secrets to be found hidden across the islands of Yara. So do let me know in the comments below if you spot anything else cool, and once I've got a big enough list, I'll do a follow-up to this video in a few weeks' time. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and if you're up for more juicy video game Easter eggs, feel free to stick around and watch some of my other hunts, which are on screen and clickable right now. Goodbye, and good egg hunting.